Hey everyone, welcome to, this interview. I'm Ryan, and I have the privilege and honor of interviewing Manfred, who is the lead singer, guitar player, and I guess overall songwriter of the band Elephants and Stars. Manfred, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
I'm really happy that you're here too. For context for the channel, people who watch our channel on YouTube and on our Patreon, I was on my phone as one is, and I've got on Instagram as one does. And believe it or not, Manfred, my phone knows I like rock and roll. It just happens to know that. It knows that. And so your ad came up for your band, and usually those band ads, I'm like, yeah, sure. So your chorus kicks in for "Take It All," and I was like, oh, that's pretty catchy. And so I listened to it again, the ad again. I'm like, okay, that's pretty catchy. So that's actually when I reached out to you on the ad. I was like, "Look, I like this chorus. Are you willing that Nathan, who's not here today, he had to work, but Nathan and I, are you okay that we react to it on our channel?" You're like, "Yeah, go ahead." And then I said, "If I like it, why don't we have an interview?" And not only do I like the song, we love the song. I've been listening to your latest album, Philistine Vulgarity, all week, not just in preparation for this interview, but I genuinely like the song. The album. It's a great album.
Oh, great. Thanks very much.
Let's talk about it. So first, Philistine, right? Philistine Vulgarity. That's quite the title. What does it mean?
So I heard the term Philistine Vulgarity in a book I was reading. They were actually describing, it was a book about a movie, and they were sort of describing the level of violence as Philistine Vulgarity. And I thought, oh, that's a neat term. I it was years ago. I sort of jotted it around, and I thought, I'm going to hang on to that, maybe write a song and use that or something. But the joke amongst a lot of my friends and music friends is that I am a bit of a Philistine myself, because I tend to sort of a lot of, I guess, sort of very highly esteemed critical music and high art. I sort of reject, like I tend to like really simple things, very base things. So the joke is that I'm a bit of a Philistine, and that our band is actually Philistine Vulgarity, because we just write this kind of very straight ahead rock music. Like, for instance, the Beatles, like I love them up until everything in, including Revolver. But as soon as they get into that very sort of artistic, and they're chasing things, and they're getting very, experimental, they just kind of lose me. Like, I just lose interest. And I get that it's groundbreaking and it's influential and it's all that, but it just doesn't appeal to me. It's just too much.
I think you and I are very similar. That's actually one of the things I was going to say about your album was, I don't know if there's a genre for it, but I call it, it's like comfort rock. And I know that sounds, is there a genre for that, do you think? And what I mean by that, it just goes from track one to the end of the album, and every song is unique and great. But I'm just like, I'm listening to it. It doesn't cause me anxiety. I suffer from mild anxiety, so it actually helps me. It's this calming comfort rock. It has a common effect, but it's interesting how it can have that. It's I don't know if anyone's ever told you about that, about your album or your music.
They haven't. It's funny because when people talk about us in sort of a relativity to other bands and other music, we get such a gamut of comparisons. Like the bands who I think we sound like, or the bands who I think, maybe are a bit more of a direct influence, are very different than what other people hear. I was going to say, like, I totally get what you're saying about anxiety, though, and music giving you anxiety. Like, I have to be in a very specific mood to hear different types of music. Like, two of my favorite bands of all time, we don't sound anything like. Like, two of my favorite bands of all time are Motorhead and Propaganda. And both of those can give me tremendous anxiety because they're so fast and they're so powerful.
Sure.
And we're not that. But in the wrong frame of mind, like it can sort of, you get like heart palpitations and you get that sort of like nervous feeling. which in a way is good because it's making you feel something.
Oh
but
yeah,
like,
I love that stuff.
Not always in the mood to feel that, and sometimes you just want to put on, like for me, like Jimmy Eat World or Gaslight Anthem, where it's like it's rock music, but it's, you know, not gonna send you into like heart palpitations.
Yeah, I'm a huge metalhead. So like I grew up, I was born in 75 and I was raised in all the hair metal band, and I love them to this day. Like I'm a huge, in fact, I'll tell you two of the bands that you remind me of. There's a few, but I was a huge, all the bands from Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax, of course, and Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, AC/DC. Like we lived in a great time. I always say from 85 to 93, it's the albums that we got month after month for the band after band. It was, we're so spoiled. There was a time I thought it would never end. I don't know if you remember those days.
Yeah. I'm just a couple years older than you are. But yeah, I like when I grew up, my entry into rock, like most kids of my generation, was Kiss. And then you kind of make the jump from there into, you know, other like bands. And then I also took a real left turn into punk rock. I mean, I saw Motley Crue's Shout of the Devil tour. I saw the Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction tour. I saw the first Cult tour when they were playing like a not even that big of a venue in Toronto. I think I would have been about grade 9 when that happened.
Seen some of the same acts for sure. I've seen GNR, I've seen Motley Crue, and I've seen the Cult. We're seeing the same acts live. That's awesome.
I always sort of bristle when people say like, oh, you know, Nirvana killed all that stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't know that that's for the better. I think there's definitely a place for that genre of music. Sure. I think there's a place for all genres of music, even the ones I don't like. I mean, how boring would it be if every band sounded the same? Like sometimes I want to hear punk rock, sometimes I want to hear country music, sometimes I want to hear whomever, hip hop. I just don't like when this sort of, and this maybe even ties back into Philistine Vulgarity. I don't like when sort of one genre or one artist is considered like above another. Like, well, these guys are here, and you know that other like Rat's down here. It's like,
don't you sleep on a Rat, man.
I love it. I love that. Like to me, Wanted Man, the opening of that record is like my favorite 10 seconds of music.
I loved Rat and Cinderella. Those were some of the band. I enjoy those. It's like if you put it in the celebrity world of like actors, sure, they're maybe B-list and C-list metal bands or hard rock bands, but I love them. You know, I followed their career back then. Yeah,
of course. Have you read a book called Nothing But a Good Time? It's an oral history of the Sunset Strip.
I have it on my Kindle. It's funny that you bring it up. Just how life gets sometimes. It's on my Kindle, and I started it, but I haven't finished it. But yes, it's right up early. Yeah, it is so far so good, a good read. So yeah, we're in the same wheelhouse, brother, which I love. And this album spoke to me that way. And I'll tell you there's a few songs that they had a little bit of sound. Maybe you can help me with some of the sound, but your overall aesthetic, it came to me. Of course, you know Guns N' Roses, but Izzy Stradlin. Now you know he went solo. You sing like Izzy Stradlin.
Oh, interesting. You know, I've not spent a lot of time with his solo, like his post Guns stuff.
Yeah. So it's a different
I know
vocal.
He was the best writer.
Yeah, he is the key writer. I mean, the band never recovered after he left. I mean, I love Axl. Wish him all the best, and the boys. I've seen them live 3 times since they got back together. The 3 of them. Izzy was the soul of the band, and I say this because he came with an album called Juju Hounds when he left the band, but you have that same aesthetic. So if you listen to that first solo album that he has, and all of his albums, really, that's your aesthetic. So it's like if you fronted Izzy's music, that's the aesthetic. So so you have some harder songs. Yes, you have these kind of, and Izzy does the same thing. He will throw in a couple like boop boop type songs, but it's just kind of like this. It's a southern blues because his heroes are, of course, Ronnie Wood and Keith Richards are his heroes, and so you have that level, and then mixed with I had it written down. Oh, maybe it'll come back to me. So definitely that aesthetic, which I love. And I could tell with the way you produce the album. And I want this. That's why I did ask if your producer could produce the album could come on, because I have producer questions, and you've done a lot of albums, obviously with different producers, so you can answer them. I've never had the opportunity to ask a producer. Even when I was a kid, I remember looking at the linear notes, say, "Oh, look, Bruce Fairbairn produced this album, or Rick Rubin did this one, and then Bob Rock does this one." So you kind of get a feeling of Flair or Mutt Lange. So you start to get to know some of these big producer names. It's sort of like they're like the directors of the music. See, a director on a film set can really say to the actor, "Look, I need you to, you're delivering the line the wrong way. I need you to really do." Does a producer do that to you? Can they shut you down?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends on the producer. I mean, they're all very different, and some are really hands off, and they're almost just like an engineer, and you almost tell them what you want. And then other guys are really, I don't want to say heavy-handed because that's got a negative connotation. Some are very focused on what they want and what they think is the best.
You're in the band, you're in the garage, you've made this music, and now it's like you got somebody. I know the Beatles, of course, they had their fifth, they always called him the fifth Beatle. Phil Martin, I believe his name was. And so for you, how do you allow that person to kind of come in and say, I know you wrote the song and you came with this riff and this.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a trust factor there. Like not every producer is meant to work with every band. I mean, that's why producers get fired by bands all the time. And certain producers don't want to work with certain bands. Like there has to be a little bit of give and take. I've got better at it over the years. I used to be like in older versions of bands when we worked with some pretty, like we worked with Terry Brown, who did like all the early Rush records, up to and including Moving Pictures. I think he did Signals too. And I mean, he's a guy who's got a lot of credibility, certainly much more than I do and did at the time. And he wanted to do things a very specific way. I tended to fight back a lot more back then, which was probably dumb because he's, knows infinitely more than I do. But I think I had that sort of young arrogance of like, well, these are my songs and my name's going to be on the front. I think as you get a little bit older, you work with a few people, you start to kind of gravitate to people who you think they get us. Like, so the record before this one, we worked with Ian Blurton, who was in Change of Heart, and he produced all the Weaker Thans records. Now, he's someone who, again, definitely knows exactly how he wants things to be done. And he's involved from the get-go. Like, so when you send him demos, he'll send you notes back saying, oh, you know what? I don't think you need this pre-chorus here. You know what? This middle eight is too long. You need a key change here. And you can choose to fight him, which I didn't really do. Or you could, say, oh, okay, well, maybe that one works, or maybe I'll try this one. Like, you kind of really want to get to that place where it's a give and take. Working with Ron on this record was sort of the same way. Like, we sent him, I can't remember, it's like 14 or 15 demos. And he came back and said, well, this song's no good. We're not going to bother with it. This one, I would recommend this. And, I'm a lot better at sort of accepting that give and take now. But again, a lot of it's really just personality based, meshing with the right person and just trusting them.
No, that's awesome. That's what I figured. I just didn't know like how much quote unquote power they had over the final product the way a director does on a film. They're almost like an in-house editor to some degree.
Yeah, like it reminds me of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's that scene, I don't know if you've seen it, where Leonardo DiCaprio, Leonardo's character goes back to his trailer and he's blown a bunch of lines and he's having the hissy fit.
That Jesus Christ! Shit. Damn it, Rick. I swear to God. Lines, embarrass yourself like that in front of all those goddamn people. Oh, you were drinking all night. Fucking drinking again. 8 goddamn fucking whiskey sours. You're a fucking miserable drunk. You remembering your fucking lines. I practiced them and now I don't look like I goddamn practiced them. You're sitting there like a baboon.
So that scene's not in the script.
That's right.
Leonardo DiCaprio allegedly went to him and said, you know what? I think this needs to happen because it elevates this and it makes this more meaningful. Now, as a director, Quentin Tarantino could have shut that down and said, no, you'll do the scenes that I've written. But he allowed this feedback in his artwork and it did work. It made it better. So, you can't get too precious about it. Like you have to sort of protect what's yours. And, I'm loath to use the word integrity, but like, you still want your band to sound like you, but I don't think that you can be too much like I'm this delicate genius and I there's no feedback I need.
We probably need a producer for our channel.
Well, it's just always interesting to get a fresh set of eyes and ears on something, just because they're going to be seeing it with more deference. You know what I mean?
Actually, we do have our producers. They're called the comment section on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say this: there's been times like we'll get comments. And I'm like, that's fair. Whatever that thing is. And I had so in the 5.5 years that we've done this channel, we have changed things, and you have to listen to enough voices after a while. We're like, oh, maybe that isn't working or whatever that might be. So your latest album, of course, is Philistine Vulgarity, and I can see here that as a band, Elephants and Stars, you've done what is this your 4th or 5th album, full album?
I think it's our 6th release and our 2nd what is counted as a full record, because it's I think when you hit 6 tracks, you're still an EP, and when you hit that 7th, you're considered a full record. But basically what we did first is we did 4 EPs, which was actually my idea, because when I was growing up, I was really into, Black Flag, and then they did the 4 EPs. And then recently the band Off, their first 4 releases were 4 EPs. So I said, oh, we should do that. Let's do 4 EPs, because you think like, well, we'll be in this great lineage with Black Flag and Off.
Sure.
And but of course, nobody gets that. Nobody cares. Yeah. So then we decided, thinking like, well, look, we're going to sink all this money. Let's just go ahead and just do full records. And that allowed us to print vinyl and stuff like that, which was a little more cost effective.
Well, since we're talking about the vinyl, and thank you for answering that question. Yeah, because I can see here you had 2 EPs before this one, but the one was called Of Halfway in House's Ambulance, which I assume has tracks on that album that are on this album.
Yeah, like that's just basically a single, but the way you sort of learn that when you release a single, it's called cascading. You want to put whatever the single was before that as the second track, which means it's no longer a single. It's now an EP because there's 2 songs on it. And they tell you to do that because if, let's say, you advertise Halfway Houses and then people go and listen to it and then they don't immediately shut it off, it just automatically goes into your next song. So it's like this way of making people hear more of your music. By the way, I've learned all this in the last couple of years.
It's better late than never. I don't know any of this stuff, so thank you for sharing that. Though I don't sing, write music, I have not a creative bone in my body, but maybe there's some listeners that might appreciate that insight. Okay, so here is the album cover. Let's talk about it here together.
Oh, fun.
So I assume that's you in the top left, correct?
Well, I mean, I tend to sign over that. So these are 4 paintings that our producer actually did. He's an artist as well. He's, in addition to being the frontman for Lowest the Low and a successful solo artist, he's also a producer and he's also a painter. Ron Hawkins from Lowest the Low, he actually did the painting for our record Last Chance Power Drive. There's a painting of Robespierre on the front that he did as well. That was commissioned. I just happened to see these. And the funny thing is there's an irony to it, because to Ron, Kiss is the ultimate Philistine band. Like he would see them as sort of like a joke and, a corporation, a cash grab, and he would have no time for them. So I'm thinking he sort of did these paintings as sort of like with a bit of a wink. Whereas I saw that and I'm like, well, that's perfect for us, because Kiss are sort of this ultimate Philistine band, but I love them. Well, certainly the early years,
sure,
not so much the later stuff. But so I thought, oh, wow, wouldn't that be great if he would sort of give us the rights to use that, which he did. So there are actually 4 different paintings that I sort of glommed together in Photoshop.
So this wasn't the band members. This is my friend Nathan and I, of course, we're trying to figure this. We thought you guys became the characters on this cover here. Okay.
No. The only thing that we do consistently, or try to, I don't even know if we do it consistently, is so if we have to sign anything, we always sign over the person that we would be. So like our bass player signs over Gene, our guitar player signs over Ace. I sign over Paul.
So why the 1973? That's what threw me off. The 1973, because I figured that was somebody's birth year.
I think that's Kiss's birth year.
As a band.
I think that's when they formed. Because I think like even like on the side, I can't really see it here, but I think all the tattoos are sort of like little Kiss in jokes that probably Ron found funny. Like I think one Gene said like "rock and roll all night" on his shoulder, maybe, I'm not sure.
We read it on our I think we read it on the reaction. It was something about a devil and speed dial or something like that.
Yeah, and he's got a whole series of paintings of people in like masks and balaclavas and stuff. Okay. So it just so happened that I saw this right around the time when I was trying to think of a cover, because I have tended to do most of the artwork stuff. And then I just saw this and it just kind of fell into place. I was like, this is perfect.
Well, it's great that he can do that because that's his painting. But did you get worried about, I don't know, with Gene Simmons? He's a bit of a stickler, this guy, when it comes to his product.
Yeah, I did. You know what? That did cross my mind. But then I thought, there have been album covers that are sort of like direct homages to Kiss. Like there's probably 3 or 4 Kiss, not Kiss album covers, but like punk rock covers where it's like clearly Destroyer, but they've replaced Kiss with like them. The Melvins once put out the posters from the solo records, but it was the guys from the Melvins artwork. Right. So I think he's kind of looks the other way on that sort of stuff because we're clearly not infringing it. It's clearly an homage to them. I guess they really, if they wanted to get really touchy about it, they could, but I doubt we're even on their radar, quite frankly.
Well, after you get featured on our channel, who knows? Gene Simmons is he's a stickler. He's going to ask for at least 10% of the proceeds from this album sale.
I talked to him on the phone once.
Oh,
like when I was in school, I was a journalism major. And I was interning at a magazine, and it was in 1996 when they reunited. I was still living with my parents, and Gene Simmons called my house and asked for me, and I got to talk to him on the phone for like.
Why did he call you?
For an interview that was going to appear in this magazine I was interning because like everyone at the magazine, because they're all like not music snobs, but like Kiss really isn't a critical darling, and basically you're talking about a staff of critics. Nobody wanted, so I said, I'll do it, and so they said sure. So yeah, I got to talk to Gene Simmons and then Peter Criss.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Yeah, which is a better album, Love Gun or Destroyer?
For me, it's Love Gun. I'm not actually a big Destroyer guy for a couple of reasons. Like it's a great record, but like. From a stickler point of view, I hate that I have to sit through that 90 seconds of sound effects before Detroit Rock City starts. That drives me nuts. King of the Nighttime World is a cover. Do You Love Me is a cover. I don't like Beth. I think Sweet Pain and Great Expectations are basically throwaway tracks, which kind of leaves you with like God of Thunder, the second half of Detroit Rock City, and I'm not even sure if I'm missing one there, but yeah, no, it's okay. I think it's a little overblown. I love the first 3 records. They're my favorites.
Okay, there you go. This is a man who knows his Kiss, folks. That's awesome. Okay. All right, so let's get to some of the tracks here that I made some notes on. And I'd like to have your I'm going to share you some of my feedback. I got some notes there. I want to make sure. That's the best, right? So, okay, your band is, I wrote it. See, this is why I take notes. I take these interviews seriously. Okay, your band is a mix of Izzy Stradlin and Tom Petty.
Oh wow! I don't think we've heard that one. Now that's comfort rock. If anyone is comfort rock, it's Tom Petty.
That's comfort rock. That's a good example of what I meant by comfort rock. Because you put on a Tom Petty in the Heartbreakers album, doesn't matter which album or a solo work of his. Tom Petty's like Bruce Springsteen in that whether it's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers or Tom Petty by himself, it's Tom Petty. I don't know why Bruce bothers to even whatever. He's the boss, right? And speaking of which, Last Chance Power Drive. Hello, I saw that album cover. I'm like, so who's the Bruce fan that came up with that? That's from Born to Run.
You're looking at him.
I love Bruce so much. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I'm a huge fan. My dad raised me on him, so I've been a fan since, of course, Born in the USA when I was 8 years old when it came out, or 9 years old, and I've been a fan ever since.
I got to him late. I'm kind of like full disclosure. I was sort of a latecomer to Bruce. Again, wow. I think it's sort of the when you get into punk rock at a young age, I think the number one thing it teaches you is to be as closed-minded as possible about music. If it's not punk rock, it's no good. Like
if it's popular, you can't listen to it. You're not allowed to listen to it.
Exactly. Like so, I remember like I would just shut him out, and then I remember I don't even remember when it was. I just remember I heard Born to Run when I was sort of I was probably early 20s. I heard it. I'm like, wow, what a great song this is. This might be the first arena rock song. Like, I don't remember anything prior to it sounding like that. So then I sort of got into it. Like I started with that record and then kind of worked my way through Born in the USA and, so to this day, I'm still a huge fan. And it's funny because the reason I got into Gaslight Anthem, who I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
No, I'm actually not. Yeah.
I read a review of Gaslight Anthem. They're also from Jersey, and Bruce is on their new record, actually.
Oh.
And it said, Gaslight Anthem is what a punk rock band would sound like if they never heard Black Flag and only listened to Bruce Springsteen. And I thought, that sounds like the greatest band I've ever heard. So I went and listened to them. I love them. I think they're fantastic. They even referenced Tom Petty in one of their songs too. So yeah, they might be right up your alley.
Well, you are And I'm not just saying that because you're on the show. I truly mean that. And I have to go back and listen. In fact, when I saw this album and I started listening to it, I just thought it was your debut. I didn't know you from Adam, right? So I didn't know anything about the band. I thought this was your first album. This is your fourth or fifth album. And you worked, of course, we've got to mention your partner, Crime Mike, the bass player. You've been with him. Where'd you meet him? And how did you two decide that no matter what band we're in over the years, we're together? Like, what is it about the two parts of you that says through thick or thin, no matter the band we're in, we're bandmates?
Yeah, so we met in the aforementioned journalism school. I ended up not pursuing journalism, surprisingly, and then he did for a while, and then now he's into something else as well. For lack of a better term, I would almost describe Mike as like a muse. To me, like his opinion about things, because he and I see things so similarly through all the bands we've been in, it's always been kind of like he and I see things one way, and then the other members will see it a different way. And I think that we always had this shared way of wanting to do things a certain way. And you know, you could call that whatever you want. You could call that music snobbery or whatever you want. But we were always
you're allowed to like what you like, especially when you're creating. That's your right, you know.
Yeah, and so he's a really easygoing guy. Like I honestly, like I'm a little tougher to get along with, I think. Whereas I think Mike is one of those guys like no one dislikes him. Like when we've had people leave the band for whatever reason, they'll always send me the nasty letter, but not.
Tell me what a band member who wasn't crazy about you. What would you say is the overall? Okay, here you go. What's the overall theme you seem to present, and maybe not the best way to people leaving? If you don't mind speaking that way about yourself.
No, I don't mind. So here's how I'd put it. And this really applies to anyone who's ever come and go, because early in the band we had a lot of turnover, and being in a band. And when I say difficult, I don't mean difficult like real life struggle, but if you think about it, you're creating art by committee, for lack of a better term. So you all need to sort of be, I always say, rowing in the same direction. Even if it's just one of you rowing in the other direction, well, your boat's now going in circles. You're talking about not just creating, but you're talking about the business aspect of it and the rehearsal and the schedule and the, you know, making things a priority or what have you. Plus just regular personality conflicts, which can make a room tense or not tense. Rehearsal rooms can be a pretty tense place, even at the best of times. So my feeling is we're all in a car going this way. And if you don't want to go that way, we're just going to drop you off and we're just going to keep going.
That's a good metaphor. Yeah.
It's not personal. Like I know a lot of people.
Do you stop the vehicle? Do you stop the vehicle before you ditch them? That's the question.
We definitely slow. To be honest, like with almost every case, we've given people. It's not like the first time you do something we don't like, you're gone. It's nothing like that. It's just more like when you sense a pattern of behavior happening that's kind of negative, you're like, well, this isn't really working. And Gene Simmons always says, oh, I'm too rich to bother with nonsense. Well, I'm the opposite. I'm too poor to deal with it. Like I don't depend on this. So why am I putting myself through this misery?
Right.
So if we have an opportunity to go and do X. So one of the members left because we were going to go do a recording with the producer. The producer was sort of critical of their work on the demos. And their thing was, well, we're not working with that guy. Okay. And I said, well, no, we are. We're just all going to sort of buck up and try our best and listen. And they said no. And we said, well, we're going to anyway. And that's just how it went. It's tough because nobody likes to be asked to leave something. I do tend to be the lightning rod for their anger, even though all of our decisions are group decisions. No one has ever left without the full consent of all the other remaining members. But when the time comes, they really seem to think that I had it in for them, which, to be fair, I have not.
In a very, very small way. Like we've had a couple of people on our channel come and go as well. Like we've had like guests, you know, on the mic type stuff, and we've let people go for the same idea. Like Nathan and I have, we're the band leaders of our channel. We have a vision. It's sort of like, oof, this isn't quite working. It's not personal. It's like we never say, you know, I hope you suffer in life and whatever the other. We're always like wish you the best in whatever adventure you do and whatever. It's just not working for us. This is our beast. Like if it's not, you're not. Yeah, you're a passenger and you're welcome to be there for the road trip. But if you start to get whatever, we have to let you off at the next city.
I don't want to be in the business of managing other people's personalities.
No.
You know, it's just not. It's not worth it to me. I'd rather just
agree.
part ways, you know.
And I'm the lightning rod too. Any kind of the negative comments I get on YouTube, it's usually my humor that gets people mad who don't understand my humor. So I'm the lightning rod. Same with a couple people who've been a part of our channel left. It's usually me that gets the blame. Nathan's the innocent. He's the innocent. He's the teddy bear.
Yeah, Mike's that way too. Everyone loves Mike.
Everyone loves Nathan. I'm the lightning rod in our channel. Go ahead and say or not say, but so Michael's been with you from the beginning. How long has Stuart been playing drums for you guys? Like how many albums, I guess, is one getting at?
So Stuart was around he played on the EP Get Your Own Army, and then he was still in the band when we did, what was the name of our Under the Earth and Above Heaven. But he doesn't actually play on that. Just there, we had some scheduling issues. We had already booked the studio, and then he got called away to work. So we ended up just, it's actually Glenn Miltram from Blue Rodeo is playing the drums on that record.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he's just an amazing, he's probably one of the best drummers in the country that people just don't know because Blue Rodeo doesn't show off their drumming.
No.
We did a couple of shows. Was it last summer, the summer before? I apologize. I'm really bad at chronology. And I just sort of felt that the band needed a bit of a hard reset. I just felt we were floundering a little bit. And that's not necessarily pointed at any one person. I had... This is going to sound odd, but I'm very given to whims. Something will strike me, and then I'll sort of burn everything down, kind of, not literally, obviously.
Right.
But I remember I had gone to see Propensity at the concert hall, and we had done 2 or 3 shows that week, and they weren't great shows. I didn't think we had played that well. And then this was on the Friday. Propensity came out, and they were like a bomb going off on the stage. They just the place exploded. And I just had the feeling like we're just so far off of this. We're just so not on this level. And I just sort of said, you know what, our band needs a hard reset, which I did. And then, we sort of built it back up from that. We had this record mostly done at that point, but I still felt like, moving forward, like we just needed a change.
Not with you anymore?
He's not with us anymore. We have a new drummer, JR McCombie. Great guy. He fits in really well. Personally, he definitely comes from, it's funny because no one in the band really has the same musical influences, but he's probably the closest to me insofar as he likes a lot harder rock. He listens to bands like, Tool and Rage and stuff like that, which is great for a drummer because that's what you want from a drummer.
Those are tough drummers to follow. I mean, the drummers of those bands, yeah.
He's been great. And then obviously Mike is still there on bass. Adam is our lead guitar player. He did not make it to the video shoot, but yeah. So Adam is our lead guitar player. He's been around since the second record. I think he was I don't think he played on the second record, but that's right when he joined.
Okay,
that was right when COVID hit. He's been around a good long while. He's a absolute phenom.
Dude,
on the guitar.
I want to say this to Adam. If you're listening, I don't know if he's going to listen to this interview, but or you can pass it on to him. Timestamp, hey, at the 33 minute mark or whatever, Ryan gives you a shout out. Adam, your guitar solos are awesome. There's some like I said, there's some Tom Petty tones of solo work. I forget the lead guitarist for Tom Petty. I forget his name. I would be able to pick it up in a lineup if I saw it. Mike Campbell.
That's him.
So Adam, you got that. You got Mike Campbell, some Slash tone, and I know this is a bit of a weird, really. But I'm a huge Third Eye Blind fan, and there's some Third Eye Blind tonal use in the guitar work as well. So
I like Third Eye Blind probably more than I should because I hear that the guy in that band is such a jerk.
I don't want to say that about you, but it's funny when you're talking about lead singer syndrome a little bit, which is totally legit. I thought of Steven, lead singer for Third Eye Blind. He's difficult to work with, but he's a talent. It's one of those weird things where, not that you're difficult to work with, but you know what I mean, Stephen Jenkins is his name. He's an incredible lyric writer. Incredible. He's actually a great composer of music too.
Every story you hear about him is so awful. But yeah,
it's like Chevy Chase. He's like a great comedian, but you don't want to know him. Just watch his movies.
That's a really, really good comparison. It's like you've never heard a good story about Chevy Chase. Every story you hear,
but he's funny. Awful. But you're laughing at his comedy. It's almost like you don't want to know your heroes, right?
But it's funny because Adam comes from a classic rock background, as you can probably tell.
I can hear that.
He can play all of that sort of hard rock, metal, classic rock.
He's
stuff.
Wicked. I love his stuff. So my question, I've had this before, but for you guys, when he's got a lead guitar part to put in. I don't create music, so I don't know how
Right.
it's done. I only can appreciate music when I enjoy it. Like when I enjoy a good song, I'm like, oh. So when the solos are coming in, how do you know when this? Okay, this I know it's after the bridge usually, but how do we decide? Okay, this is the solo. This is how long it's going to be, because you got the drum and the bass doing that back part, and then you have to change because the key changes in the solo, so you have to do on the drums. So how do you guys decide, like, what comes first, his solo, then the backing part has to match the solo? Like, who decides the length of the solo and yada yada?
Okay, so there's not really one answer there. So generally the solo will come last. Sometimes we'll change things depending on what he comes up with. So we did once, we're working on basically what will be our next record. Like right now in rehearsals, we're doing all new stuff and sort of figuring some songs out. So a perfect example is we had this one song, and I wanted a very short solo in it. Like I was just like kind of very Menzingery, kind of very like bing, bang, bing, bang. But then he started playing it, and we got to the end. I said, should we double the length of that? Because like I like what he's doing. Yeah, and I mean, like in Flaw in the System, we originally it was which was from the record before, where Adam's got a great guitar solo on it. Even the producer was like, you know what? Let's add this second part here so it can just go on a little bit longer. So we have a song from a couple records ago called "On the Table," where the solo is very short. I think it's 4 chords, and that's it. And it just sort of felt right. For that song. So every song is going to kind of bring with it its own thing. So on this record, the final track called Sanctuary Cities is a bit of an outlier for us because it's very long, because most of our songs are like three and a half minutes. I purposely wanted to write a song. My entire thought process was, I just want something where we can show off Adam for like as long as possible.
You did.
And we're going to give him all the room to solo. He can do whatever he wants. Because the one thing is, we are fairly self-disciplined insofar as like we tend to keep things shorter, less is more, like try to trim out the fat. And I thought, you know what, this is where we're just going to be self-indulgent. We're going to make the song as long as we have to, and Adam is just going to do whatever he wants. And I told him that when I wrote it. I'm like, you have carte blanche, do whatever.
Okay, well, I'm not your producer for the next album, I know, but if you need one, let me know.
Sure.
That last track, Sanctuary Cities, is the best song on the album.
Oh, thanks. You know, it's funny. A friend of mine said the same thing. So I'm a big fan of the MC5. They used to have a song called Black to Calm, which they would only play live. I don't think it's on any of their official records. And it's like 10 minutes long. I love that. But they used to do it to sort of purposely try to what they call walk the room. So it's funny because I sort of thought that was going to be our walk the room song. Internally, we always say, well, we can't play that live. It's so long. Like people will walk out.
It's the best song on the album. No, in fact, the last 2 songs on the album, let me go back to my notes so I don't mess anything up here. So the last 2 songs on the album, Reckoning, Come On Down, and then so I'm listening to this album in order. So I get to the Reckoning, and I'm like, oh, I said to myself, quote, my God, I love this song. I love the background solo vocals. So there's some background vocals. Who sings those? Because they sing by themselves without you.
That is Ron, the producer from Lowest to Low. And
very cool.
Here's a thing that I think is funny about that song, The Reckoning. That was my attempt to write a song that sounds like the Lowest to Low, which is his band. He doesn't know that. I mean, if he's watching this, now he knows. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to have him sing on it? And so he did all that just on his own.
Yeah, because there's the background vocal where you have the harmonies throughout your songs, but there's a part where somebody's singing by themselves. Like, who's that guy? It's good. So there you go. Shout out to Ron. So you heard it here first, Ron. Manfred stole your stuff. I'm sorry, but he tricked you at the same time.
Not for the first or the last time. That one basically, like we have a couple of mutual friends, and when I sent them the record, they're like, wow, that you really went for the lowest of the low on that one. I'm like, yeah, I did.
Sure, it's an homage, of course.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Matthew 25, and you said it falls apart after that. What was your Matthew 25 purpose? Like, what is that chapter about, and how does it fall apart?
That is the passage where Jesus is like, that you do to the least of my brothers.
Okay, yeah.
Basically the whole basis
Sermon
of
on the Mount?
Christianity, which is to sort of treat people well, as you would Jesus himself. I'm not a particularly religious person, but I'm familiar with the basic notions of Christianity. And it's sort of based on the whole notion that I don't understand, if Christianity is real, the Trump Christians are in big, big trouble. When they get to heaven, they're in big trouble because they're basically doing the exact opposite of what Jesus taught you. Like I have a line in there about amused kids, caged amusement. And it's like, I saw a thread on Facebook and it was all these people laughing at little kids in cages separated from their parents. And I'm like, you call yourself a Christian?
Yeah,
and
I know.
You laugh at that? So the reckoning is not for us. It's for them.
No, it's not for me. I'm not laughing at kids in cages. That's for sure.
That's what I mean. So that the whole song is just about like, listen, you better hope you're wrong about Christianity, because if you're right, you're in more trouble than you know.
Okay, that answers it. So I'm hearing this song. Thank you, by the way. I want to make sure I get all my stuff out. This is me being selfish. So if anyone's watching this interview, you can shut it off now. But I'm talking about some of the songs here in particular that I loved. The last two in particular just blew me away. So Wrecking Day, great chorus. That chorus is so catchy. It's so catchy. And the Sanctuary Cities kicks in. I thought Wrecking Day, I thought it was the final. I was like, oh, that's a great song, or sorry, album ender. So when I first heard the album, I didn't recognize it was on song 9, Vice 10. And I'm like, oh, there's another one. Okay. I don't know how Sanctuary Cities is going to be better. I just heard Reckoning come on down. That's the album closer. And I was wrong. Sanctuary Cities is the perfect album closer because it's the longest song. It comes in with the drum at the beginning, very the cult drumming from Sonic Temple sound. I don't know if you caught that one.
Yeah, sure.
So the moment that came in, I was like, oh, that's the that's from those days from the cult. And then the water crashing at the shore in the beginning. I have a theory what it's about, but why don't I tell you my theory first before you give me
Yeah, sure.
Theory. So you have the water crashing on the shoreline sound effect come in, and then the great opening comes in of your vocals, the guitar, the drums. And then it ends with the water crashing, which I thought, okay, that's a perfect, ending to the album. Because then it starts again. So if you listen to the album on repeat, the water shore sound starts the album again. And
neat. I didn't know that.
Well, that's why I got to be your producer. No, just joking. I've always wanted to be a producer, but I don't even know how to plug in the microphone. But the point is I love that the idea of the world. I think the world. This is what maybe I'm overthinking it, but the idea that nature and the world will continue despite all the garbage that we do as humans, from like that reckoning that you're talking about and all the other messages in your other songs, we're going to come and go. You and I, this interview will be forgotten in 100 years, if not less. People won't be talking about us anymore. And then there'll become a time when humanity will we're not going to be here anymore. And that water crashing on the shoreline will still be there.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. It's because what my idea behind it wasn't necessarily that specifically, but it ties into it. Like basically the water at the beginning and the water at the end was just to sort of represent that nothing's final. Okay. That things will come and you think that they're over, but they're not, and they're just going to happen again. So where my thought process is that the water at the beginning is someone arriving, and then during the song they leave, and then at the end they're arriving somewhere else now. Because Sanctuary Cities is both literally about the sanctuary cities in the States that are, havens for refugees, but also the notion that a person could be a sanctuary city for you, like a place where you can go and be safe and feel. So I tried to have the lyrics kind of counterbalance both those things. And just like real life refugees. They show up and maybe they have to leave again, but then they'll be back. And people come in and out of our lives this in sort of the same way. They sort of play their role and then they're gone, and maybe they're back and maybe they're not. So there's sort of like two things going on there, but you're actually dead on the money that the whole thing is about all of this having a lack of finality.
Okay, awesome. The ooh and ah backing chorus, who's singing that? There's that distinctive, the ooh ah or something like that. I wrote an ooh ah backing chorus.
In Sanctuary Cities?
Yeah.
That would probably be me, I think, because I think we did the vocals for that one very last, because most of the harmonies on the record are a combination of Adam and myself.
Okay.
But I don't think he was there for those one. Oh, you know what? I'm lying. It's Ron. That's Ron.
Ron again.
I just remembered that we didn't have them. And when I was listening to his mixes, because basically they send you mixes and you sort of send your notes back and forth, I said, man, we need something there. And I think he just did it in the studio by himself. I don't even think I was there for that.
I hope Ron is watching this, because now he's going to say, look, the two best songs I'm on there, Manfred.
Well, there's no, I mean, I'm a huge Lowest of the Low fan, which is no coincidence as to why he was, enlisted. He's just a talent. Like, he's good at producing. He's good at writing. He's a great guitar player.
Okay, well, don't sell yourself short. This album's amazing, so don't sell yourself short. As much as we love Ron, I want you to know that I jest and tease. I just thought it was funny. the two backing vocals, it was Ron again. It's
true. They are. There's another one on. Sorry to interrupt, but on our record. We had a record called "Get Your Own Army," and the last song on there is called "On Your Deathbed." And he does these great backing vocals.
Oh, wow.
That he just did them without even asking me. He just sent me the mix. He said, what do you think of this? And I said, love it. Keep it. Done.
That's awesome. Cool.
Moving on.
Ron, stay with the band, Ron. Is he producing your next album?
So that is the hope. We haven't decided. So my here's my wish list, and I'll put this out to the universe.
Sure.
So my wish was that Ron will produce the next record, but we will have 3 guest producers each do 1 song each.
Okay. Which one am I doing?
4 guest producers each doing 1 song each. And
mine will be like a bonus track found in only like some Walmart copy somewhere.
No. So we have talked to a couple other people about maybe just doing 1 song. But we like working with Ron. We're comfortable with him.
That's good.
And he's just a great producer. So why not?
So here's some quick notes as we wrap up here. So Drown and Doubt, the first one on the album, to me it sounded like old school U2. We're talking War and Boy and some of that's what I was feeling with that sound of the guitar work, and some early Cult again with the Billy Duffy guitar work sound that I got.
The original inspiration for me was The Clash, but I think that's kind of right in wheelhouse.
Same area of time, the early 80s. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, definitely. Propensity for Violence. Great title of a song. And it has this pop, dance, rock beat to it. But obviously it's one of those songs which I'm sure was intentional, where the message of the song, like, you can dance to the song, but you're not celebrating the message.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Your propensity for violence in the war you've taken under
Okay. Then you have, of course, what we did, a Fire Reaction channel, Take It All. Honestly, dude, like this is a classic hard rock song.
You can hold it with the best of them, or you can sell it cheap like heroin. Hit the ground and then get up again. Giving out another turn inside, inconceivable at any time. There's really no one left to deify. Hey, when did they take it all away? Was it as easy as the time it takes? When did they take it all away?
Very easy to react to. The chorus is catchy as F. Take It All has a crunchy guitar. So what was your thought process of making this a little bit more of a, because the Propensity for Violence is a bit of a almost a doo-wop type sound compared to Take It All. So like what you say to yourself, okay, you amped up the crunchiness a little bit in this one.
Yeah, to be honest, when I wrote it, I almost didn't bring it into the band because I thought like I was really kind of like reaching into my dirtbag youth roots. Basically, what I wanted to do was one of my favorite songs of all time is "Rock You Like a Hurricane." And I said I want to write a song like that, but sort of filter it through maybe a couple of other. Like to me, the verses are very reminiscent of this band from Tennessee called Super Drag. But yeah, I wanted like a big "Rock You Like a Hurricane" chorus, and that was it. And I thought, like, I don't know that the band's gonna go for that because like none of them really like that stuff. So luckily they did. And then Ron was the next hurdle, and then we all just said, let's just lean into it and make it as big a song as we can.
Great song, and too bad Adam wasn't there. You took over lead. So when you're miming his, okay, that's a question I have. When you're miming his lead guitar work in the music video, are you literally playing the notes he's playing? Are you just pretending like I would?
Well, I'm a bit of both. So he's a much better guitar player than I am. Like he's borderline phenom. I'm capable, but I'm not on that level. But I thought if I'm going to play this in the video, because I knew he wasn't going to be there, I did try to learn the solo, or at least a good chunk of it. So anyone watching it, otherwise you're going to be like that Corey Feldman video where he's just,
how dare you, the greatest guitarist to ever live.
So I didn't want that. So I learned enough of it that I said, okay, well, at least it'll look like I'm.
It does look good. It looks good. Like to the untrained eye like me, who just watching a music video, it looks like that's what I thought. I thought, oh, you're playing lead. You kicked out the lead guitarist. Like that's what it felt like.
No, if you watch it closely, though, I told the guy who edits, I said, never show my hands for more than a second at a time. Like I said, because I can play it in chunks, but if you just do like a conventional video where you show me the whole time, I would have been exposed as the fraud that I was being.
No, well, that's a shout out to Adam's ability. So shout out to him again on his, and again on that production. It's that soft rock crunchy, but his solo comes in. You pumped up the sound of his solo a little bit higher, right? Like that seemed to be a little bit more the yeah.
Definitely.
See, I hear these things, brother.
I was going to say Rick Rubin is like that. He doesn't know the technical stuff. He just knows how he wants it to sound.
Man, is that all I had to do? Was just go out and say trust me? I don't know how to play anything. Oh man,
pretty much.
So the next song, Brief Shiny Moment, the title right alone tells you it's going to be a little more upbeat now, or breezy. I call it breezy soft rock ballad, but it still has that fast beat. But it's more of a breezy song. It's placed very well in the album track listing. There is a rhyme and reason to where you put songs.
There is, although I'm not sure with the way people listen to music now on Spotify and stuff that people really do. But we do still spend a lot of time like, okay, this should be the opener, this should be the closer. These two songs shouldn't follow each other. So yeah, definitely. Coming out of Take It All, we were like, okay, well, we want to bring it a significant drop, because if you drop it just a little bit, it'll seem. You wanted to have a definite tempo change there to sort of like come back up.
We're old school, and that's how we were listening to music growing up. We had to fast forward on a tape or lift the needle off the LP to skip. So we just played it all the way through because it's just a pain.
Right.
But if you're really liking a band, I think any fan of any band, no matter the size of the band, whether you're independent or the Rolling Stones, they're properly listening to the album. This track belongs here for a reason. I'm now flipping it over to. And I'll get to that. So Halfway House and Ambulances, you can tell why that's on side B. I assume that's the track one on side B. Yeah, it makes sense to me because it's another boop, 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 boop. It's a beat up, upbeat song. I mean, and you're, hey, we're rocking out again. We're going to don't get tired yet, boys. We got more rocking to do. Okay, but before we get to that, we have the last song on side A. Kinda, I love the song. This is another very catchy chorus.
Thanks.
Your time is coming to an end. A third and wrong. Cast out just wasn't happening. That's the kind of thing that makes you feel like dying. That's the kind of thing that leaves you all alone with nowhere to go.
And the solo, I like the solo work that's happening throughout the verses. I like when bands do that too. When you got these, I can't do the music, but you hear that there's solo work happening while you're singing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was very much by design. The song that I sort of modeled it on was a song called "The Mistake" by a band from, I think they're from Australia or New Zealand, called Middle Kids, and they had this song that started with that same drum beat, and it came in with a similar guitar tone. And I thought, Adam would be so good at that, but we'll just take the leash off and just let him do whatever.
Awesome. What is the thing that makes you feel like dying or alone? What is that thing? Is it mentioned in the lyrics itself, or did I miss it?
No, I kept that song kind of purposely vague because it's about someone specific.
Okay.
So
can you say what the thing is about naming the person?
Like we talked about earlier, no one likes to be asked to leave something that they want to be a part of. And that has got to be a very lonely feeling, right? To be left out of something that you want to be a part of. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, that's fair. Now we open again side 2 of Halfway Houses and Ambulances. What a depressing title. But what I mean by that, because nobody wants to be in a halfway house or in an ambulance. That's what I mean by depressing.
A halfway house could be you're on your way to freedom.
Yeah.
When you go to a halfway house is when you're coming out of prison.
No, you're right that they serve a purpose to get better. I shouldn't be so glum. I apologize. You don't want to be in a place where you have to go in it, but we're thankful they exist. Is that a better way of saying that, maybe?
Yeah. So basically, the sort of metaphor that I was going for if I could sound completely pretentious, was it's written about someone who was in a prison, a metaphorical prison, and are now like basically me saying like, let me be the halfway house. Like, let me guide you out of that into the rest of your life.
Love it.
You come around, I will ease you in to see yourself again. Make all the
So again, it's another fun rock bop, I called it, of a song, but with a more of a somber message, or it's another one where you can dance to at a concert or whatever. And I like that when songs do that, where it's happened throughout the decades of music writing, where you got a very upbeat song, but you start listening to the lyrics, you're like, wait a minute, it's talking about his dead dog or whatever. Okay, One Light at a Time.
Leave it for tomorrow. It's the same thing. And we die one light at a time. And I'll miss
You die one light at a time in the chorus. So what is that light? Why is it one light at a time? What's happening within the person that one light is dying at a time?
Well, I think that refers to almost anything or anyone. You sort of slowly die over time. And particularly if you're in a bad life situation, and you're just getting knocked down and this goes wrong and then this goes wrong. And it's just, you kind of gradually sort of like one light at a time. I was sort of likening it to sort of like the images of like movies when like you'd see these machines with all these lights on them and stuff like that. But then this one would go on the blink, almost like a Christmas tree. Then this one's on the blink. And then gradually, like, it's just, you just sort of like die off completely.
No.
So it's just kind of about a gradual erosion of a person.
And then the last song we have to talk about, but it's the third to last song of the album because we already talked about Reckoning and Sanctuary, is Even Out the Lies.
out this time. You better know how this time.
The guitar work in that, what do you call that? And I'm sure it's Adam
Surf
playing
rock.
it. Is that what that is?
We didn't do it on purpose, but it sort of ended up having kind of a surfy feel. And so Adam said, well, what if we just did this? And he had this kind of like Dick Dale Ventures sort of guitar line. And we said, yeah, great.
Is that him hitting like that string that many times? What are you doing there? Like, is it just back and
He's doing like a back and forth very quickly.
I don't know how you guys do that without. I don't know. The pick would fly out of my hand. I don't know how you hold on to that and just make that, because it sounds so. It's harder than it sounds, is what I'm getting at.
It's hard to do well. I mean, I could sit here and do it now, but it would be sloppy sounding, whereas he's much more precise. Once upon a time, we would sort of try to hide. If we were sounding too much like something, I would try to push it in the opposite direction. Whereas now, if we sound like something, we're probably more apt to just lean into it and own it.
And the last question I have for the band member is: we can't forget about Simon Head. Is he still sort of not or part of the band? Because he's there's like a big space between him and the drummers. Like he's like, hey, yeah, Simon, come in to play keyboards. And my question about Simon and or keyboards in the song: how does that work? Meaning, you're writing the song, you're writing the lyrics, you're doing like, how do you tell the keyboards, hey, dude, we want you to do something here? How do they bring in their piece?
Let me address the first part. So Simon is our keyboard player of record, but he's not in the band. He's very busy. He runs a theater, and he's like our permanent session guy, and he's a documentary filmmaker, and he's all kinds of stuff. So we did sort of want a permanent keyboard player, and we may still do that, but until then, like we all love Simon, and he's great, and he's a super easy guy to get along with. In terms of how you fit their parts in, it really depends. Like sometimes you have no idea. Like sometimes you have a song and you're like, I don't know what you're going to do with this. Like come up with whatever you want. Whereas in Brief Shining Moment, I said, I would like a descending piano line here and do something with that. And then I remember when we did Sanctuary Cities,
yes,
I said, I want a big old style Inagata Davida organ sound, which is
Yeah.
what he does. At the very end of Sanctuary Cities, I said I'd like a keyboard, like an organ solo after Adam's guitar solo is done.
Yes.
I said we're going to be super indulgent. We're going to go solo right into another solo. And then he sent me two, and he sent one, which is the one you hear on the record. And then at the very end, you hear this sort of repetitive thing that just kind of go. It's like ascending and descending. It happens very quickly for sort of a short period. Originally, that was his whole solo. He just did that for like whatever it was, 20, 30 seconds. And I sent it back to him and Ron. I said, I don't know that I'm in love with this for the whole thing. So then he sent the one that's there now. And I said, I do like that one better. I said, but let's throw that other one on. Let's just layer it on top and see what that sounds like. I loved it.
What a time.
I just love how the album kind of ends with everything sort of descending into this cacophonous, chaotic noise, and then the record ends.
Well, my recommendation for the next one is do another longer song. I'm not gonna tell you to write your freaking album, but I'm just speaking selfishly as a new fan of yours now. I want to hear another. That should be your theme. We're gonna have another freaking 7-minute closer where everyone plays.
So we want to have, I think, 18 songs good to demo, and I just sent them a song last week, and I said, it's funny you should say that because I said this could be this record's Sanctuary Cities because it's really long and meandering. It's kind of starts off like this old Cure song and then just kind of builds into this long other thing. So we've never played it, so we don't know if it's any good, but we'll see. So there might be a contender for another long, self-indulgent, meandering, pretentious piece of music.
Now, how do I get to see you without going to Ontario? Because I'm over here in British Columbia.
That is a really good. That's the $1 million question for us. We're right now trying to line up shows even locally has been a little difficult for us.
Sure. I know it's not easy, and I say that again selfishly. It's everything's money, right? It's like if you had endless money, you could just blow it up and go and travel the world, really.
Yeah, if you either had money or a really big audience.
Yeah.
And then option number 3 is if a larger band takes a shine to you and says, hey, come with us on these dates. And we've been kind of working that last angle a little bit lately. So hopefully something will come of that. But there's nothing in the books yet. But I would absolutely love to do that.
Okay. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure discovering you as a band. Your ad worked, Manfred. The ad on Instagram worked. It got me hooked, and now I'm going to go back to your back catalog. I didn't realize you had that much stuff. I've been focused on just this album. I just wanted to hear the album. It's the newest one out.
Great.
People have commented already on YouTube that are fans of yours, and so you do have fans out there who support you and enjoy you, and I hope you know that. And look, we're not the biggest channel in the world, but I enjoy what I'm doing, and that's what I can always say to anyone else is as long as you're just enjoying what you're doing, I don't know, that's more than what some people can say in their life, I guess.
I would 100% agree. I think the same applies to us, right? Like doing stuff like this is fun. I'm not sure. I don't pick stuff like this thinking like, oh, well, this will help move X number of units. We just don't think that way.
No,
I'm glad to do it. I had a lot of fun. It's great talking with someone who like really gets into the nitty gritty of it as opposed to, where did you guys meet kind of thing.
I did ask that one question.
Well, I mean, I think it's always fair, but like sometimes you do interviews and it's clear they've done zero preparation and you kind of have to carry them.
That's not how I do it, my friend. I not to say I pride myself for the interview. That's not what I mean. I like I told you before everything we went live, I said, I'm going to ask you questions that I want to know. Yeah, this is for me. I don't care if anyone listens. I got my answers. I had questions for songs, and you answered them. You're the source, so it's been fantastic. And I hope people check you out again. Elephants and Stars. I'll have all your socials in our video description, and feel free to share this interview when it's ready for your socials as well. I appreciate that.
Definitely, we will.
And it's been an absolute pleasure, truly, and I hope to see you live one day.
That would be amazing. You and me both.
Right. Cheers, brother.